everyone, and welcome to another Mighty Bytes video. I'm Mohammed Ahsan. I'm a software architect and a Google developers expert in Angular and also an author of multiple books. And today we are actually looking into something interesting. We're talking about View Transitions API. Imagine building a cool website like this, which acts like an app. For example, you could go to Home, About, Pictures, Contact, and you can see that there's a really cool animation happening. Now, even though this is one single index HTML, you are moving like an app on different pages. Well, this is one way of actually using the View Transitions API. Let's have a quick look at the code itself. Here you can see that we have a nav container containing a bunch of links here, which correspond to different sections of the screen. And in here, you can see that we have Home, About, Pictures, and Contact. Now, for each of these pages, we have the View Transition name set uniquely to that particular page, which lets the browser know which snapshot and transition we're talking about. Now, you definitely have to have a top-level View Transition name that is root. So you need to set that up in the beginning. Once you've done that, all you need to do is to use the start view transition function if that's available in the browser. We essentially use document.start view transition. This is the key. When you do this, the browser automatically tries to understand what is the difference between this and this, and it essentially takes a screenshot or a snapshot of these two states and essentially just makes them in a transitional way or an animated way. But let's move to actually something even cooler. What will happen if I try to click this particular gallery image? If I click this, you're going to see that it animates towards this hero image on the different page. Now, these two are different HTML pages. One is picture detail HTML, and this one is essentially index HTML. You can see that even going back, it essentially goes very smoothly. So you could essentially open the Chrome inspector if you're using Chrome, of course, and you can enable the animation tab. I already have that right here. And you can see that when I try to click this one, you will see that this goes all the way in this case, and I can actually try to slow it down as well. Let's go to 25% here, and then I'm going to click back, and you're going to see this slowly. So here you can see that it tries to go back to the position, and it doesn't matter which one do you click. For example, if I try to click this one, you're going to see that it moves to becoming the hero image. And there's a catch to that, and there's something that you need to put to make this happen. The first thing that you need for doing cross pages transition is to have this opt-in code, which says that the view transition is enabled. So you're going to say navigation auto in both the index HTML and then also in the other pages as well. So this is us telling the browser that it has to work cross pages as well in a multi-page applications or an MPA, so to say. After that, we need to ensure that we have a view transition for each particular image as we have said there. So here you can see that we are explicitly telling the images, image nature 1, image city 2, image ocean 3, etc. So we have a unique transition for every single image to identify them separately. Now, as a side note, I want you to also consider accessibility. So do use prefers reduce motion. So when someone opts out for these animations within their system configuration, we are not really bombarding them with animations just because we think they're cool. Now, to quickly tell you how this works for cross-page transition is that whenever I click an image, I essentially use the session storage and I set the image transition data to the clicked image, and specifically the image ID. This is really important. This is what essentially tells the animation what to look at. For example, in our case, each picture has a different view transition name. For example, image nature 1. And if you check the Chrome inspector, that's exactly what gets set. If I click this image transition data, you can see that the image ID here is sunset 6. And what ends up happening is that the element itself, the image tag, gets this data image ID attribute set to sunset 6. This is what identifies it as well. But if you remember, there's a difference between sunset 6 and what we have in our CSS. For example, this says image sunset 6. Well, in our case, what we do is that when we go to the picture detail, we essentially load the information from the session storage, and we are doing that in this load image data. So once we have our session storage data, we return it from here, and then we set it as an attribute. And guess what? In our CSS, we have set that each image having that particular attribute, for example, sunset 6 here, uses the exact same transition name, which is image sunset 6, that is available right here in the index HTML as well. So it has to be exactly the same. And finally, to ensure that as soon as we go to the page, the image is loaded, we are setting on the image tag itself that the fetch priority is high. This essentially makes everything smooth and fast. And that's pretty much it. I hope you found this useful. Find me on social media to ask any relevant questions. And as always, happy coding. I'm going to see you next time.